This is the nature of the gacha business, and of course, we just got Jingliu, but we have to get ready for Guinaifan and of course Topaz and Numby. So today we are going to be talking about the newest DoT unit in the game, and that's going to be Guinaifan. Now, of course, if y'all like the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Honkai Star Rail video comes out. And y'all, if you haven't heard already, Gamer Subs, my sponsor, love them to death, gluten-free, keto-friendly, energy or caffeine-free, now with tea, regular tea. If you're into tea, you could also get it over there. Check out the link in the description. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Guinaifan is a streamer. That's right, yes, Guinaifan is a streamer of the Nihility Path and Element of Fire. So we get another Nihility unit. I feel like we get a lot of them, to be honest. But at the same time, it just comes with the territory. We haven't seen a lot of erudition. We're going to be seeing that in the next update in 1.5. But I digress. Let's go ahead and talk about 1.4's newest 4-star, and that's going to be Guinaifan. Now, of course, we're going to be talking about how you should build Guinaifan. We're going from level 1 to level 80, and of course, what I think might be your best bets in building her. So let's go ahead and start off with, ascensions. So of course, we're going to need artifacts modules, which also turn into the artifacts cogwheels, followed by the artifacts Gyre hearts. Now, remember, every unit uses a rule of 3s. And what I mean by that is 3 of these modules make a cogwheel, and 3 of these cogwheels make a Gyre heart or Gyre heart, however you want to call it. Now, you're going to need 12 of the modules, 13 of the cogwheels, and of course 12 of the Gyre hearts. Now, these, I believe that these are the ones that you get from just fighting enemies. So the Ziensho, you're going to find these enemies and be able to grab these modules, Gyre hearts, all that good stuff. So make sure that you fight enemies in the overworld to get these ascension items. Now, of course, we're also going to need to get our stagnant shadow boss, which is the Searing Steel Blade, which is one of the newer ones that have come out. So you're going to need a grand total of 50 of those. How many how many runs is that going to be for you in the long run? So you're looking at about 10 runs in total if you're at max level, which means that every 30 resin that you put in, you're gonna get 5 of these in return. And of course, with 240 resin, you're gonna be getting what? 1, 2, 4, and then 8. That's 8. 8 runs? Yes, I know how to count. 8 runs. But yes, you're gonna get 8 runs out of your 240 Trailblaze power, which is fantastic. So you only need to do 2 more on the next day, or if you want to be slick, you could use one of your stamina things and be able to finish this off right out the get-go. Now, of course, not only are you going to worry about ascension, you're going to worry about your trace materials, right? So not only are we going back to these modules, these cogwheels, and of course the Gyre hearts, there we go, which you're going to need another 28, which in total you're going to need 40 of the modules. You're going to need a grand total of 55 of the cogwheels, and from right here we can see that we're going to need 54 of these Gyre hearts in total. So you're going to need more of those. Outside of that, you're going to need to grab Nihility specific items here, which are the upgrade materials. I almost said modules. But you get these from those calyxes that cost like 10 resin, and this is specifically the Nihility ones. These are the Obsidians of Dread, which are going to need 3 of those to make the Obsidians of Desolation, and 3 of these Desolations to make actually the Obsidian of Obsessions. Now, again, that's rule of 3s as always. You're going to need 12 of the Dreads, you're going to need 54 of the Desolations, and you're going to need 105 of the Obsessions in total. So again, your major rule of 3s always and forever. These things can get pretty annoying to farm in general, but so long as you're max level, you should be fine. Now, of course, more of the Phantilia materials. I am so sick and tired of farming Phantilia, to be quite honest with y'all. But of course, we have to. So the Regret of Infinite Ochema, you're gonna need 12 of those. You get about 3 per run at max level, and you only get to fight her 3 times. So you're gonna get 9, and then you'll have to wait until next week to actually get those materials again. And then of course you're going to need 5 of these tracks of destiny, as you see here. Fantastic. So we get these all the time, no big deal. Now, you're also going to need a grand total of 2.6, or I would say round up to 2.7 million credits to fully level up and level up your traces of your Guinaifan. Now, let's go ahead and dive deeper into her kit, which is going to be what we're going to need to do anyway. So let's go ahead and talk about the skill first. The skill Blazing Welcome. It's a blast skill with an energy regeneration of 30, weakness break 60, blast is 30, which we'll get to here in just a second. The blast is going to be basically what's hitting your opponents on the side. Now, deals fire damage equal to 150% of Guinaifan's attack to a single enemy, and fire damage equal to 50% of Guinaifan's attack to any adjacent enemies, with a 100% base chance to burn the target and adjacent targets. When burned, enemies will take a fire DoT equal to 272.77% of Guinaifan's attack at the beginning of each turn, lasting for 2 turns. Now, that's pretty good because burn is fantastic, and DoT teams are actually pretty dang good. I've been shouting the praises of DoT teams for a while, and I know that some have argued about it, but honestly, DoT teams do really well in the meta. So now let's go ahead and talk about the Watch the Showstopper ultimate, which is energy regeneration of 5 and a weakness break AoE of 60. So all around, all the enemies are getting hit with it. Deals fire damage equal to 144% of Guinaifan's attack to all enemies. If the target enemy is currently inflicted with burn, then their burn status immediately produces damage equal to 102% of the original damage. So if you activate your skill and then on your next turn activate your ultimate, not only are you going to be activating that 272.77% DoT damage on the opponent's turn, but when it goes to you, you can activate your ultimate and do an extra 102 damage on top of the 144% damage of attack to all enemies. That's a plus, in my personal opinion. So fantastic. Now let's go ahead and dive into the ultimate, the Patreon benefits. I see what you did there, Honkai. I do. When Guinaifan is on the field, there's a 100% base chance to apply Fire Kiss to an enemy after their burn status causes damage. When inflicted with Fire Kiss, the enemy receives 8.5% increased damage, which lasts for 3 turns and can stack up to 3 times. What does that mean? Well, let me tell you this. If we look at it from this perspective, 2 stacks is 17%, and then you add another 8.5, that's 25.5%, I believe. Am I right? I should be right. Right? Yes. 25.5. I had to do math real quick. So an extra 25.5% damage increase. That's pretty freaking big if you actually get all 3 of those stacks. Now let's go ahead and go into the traces, because we talked about leveling up traces in the first place. You got the Bladed Hoop. When the battle begins, Guinaifan's action is advanced forward by 25%. Which is part of the talent, and then Walking on Knives deals 20% more damage to burned enemies. So not only are you going to deal 20% more damage to burned enemies when you have Walking on Knives, but you're also going to deal up to 25.5% extra damage on the next time you attack because of her talent. It's just ridiculous to me, in my personal opinion. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we get into how you're going to build your Guinaifan here, skill showcase its technique right here. Now, immediately attacks the enemy. After entering the battle, deals damage for 4 times, dealing fire damage equal to 50% of Guinaifan's attack to a random single enemy target each time, with a 100% base chance of inflicting Fire Kiss on them. So you can start out with Fire Kiss right out the get-go, which is pretty fantastic for her kit. She's a great nihility unit from what it seems like, but how would you build her? Now, let's go ahead and get into light cones first. The first light cone I'm looking at is the 5-star light cone in the Name of the World. Increases the wearer's damage to debuffed enemies by 24%. When the wearer uses their skill, the effect hit rate for this attack increases by 18%, and the attack increases by 24%. That's huge, because again, you're stacking the amount of damage you're going to be able to do by 24% alongside everything that you're getting from Fire Kiss. It's pretty freaking bomb. You're going to be doing upmost 50% almost, just about there. You're like 5% away, or 0.5%. 0.5? 0.5. Now, Also, when you're using your skill, which is going to be consistent from what it looks like, the effect hit rate for this attack increases by 18%, which means that you're going to have a bigger chance to inflict burn. You already have a 100% chance, but there's still, like, it's weird how Hoyoverse does it. Like, you have a 100% chance to inflict something, but it doesn't always go through. It's very strange. And your attack is increased by 24%. Sorry, it's about 3 a.m. while I'm recording this. But we also have a free-to-play light cone right here called the Solitary Healing that you actually get from Simulated Universe. Now let's go ahead and dive into this one. Increases the wearer's break effect by 20% when the wearer uses their ultimate. Increases DoT dealt by the wearer by 24%, lasting for 2 turns. When the target enemy suffering from DoT imposed by the wearer is defeated, regenerates 4 energy for the wearer. So not only are you going to be constantly dealing more damage over time, but once the enemy's defeated, you gain 4 energy just out the get-go. Now, 4 energy may not be that much, but at the same time, it's something. We also have the 4-star light cone Eyes of the Prey. Increases the wearer's effect hit rate by 20% and increases DoT by 24%. Very simple, very good. You're increasing your effect hit rate by 20%, so your burn goes up to 120, and then your DoT is increased by 24%, which is pretty big, pretty pog. And then, of course, the last one I want to talk about is Good Night and Sleep Well. For every debuff that the enemy has, the damage dealt by the wearer increases by 12%, stacking up to 3 times. And this effect only applies to damage over time. Now, this one is really good for a team that is solely about DoT. So if you're running Kafka, Sampo, and Luka on top of this, which I wouldn't recommend, I would say that you would want at least 1 healer on the team. But if you are running a damage over time team, this would go really, really well with them because of the fact that you're having constant debuffs go off. So that'd be cool. Ultimately, I think your best bet would probably be the Solitary Healing if you're looking for that free-to-play option, because it works really, really well. You get that 20% extra break effect, and you can focus more on other things when it comes to your Guinaifan, right? So that's going to be my pick in regards to those. Now, you could choose any of these and be perfectly fine, so be ready for that. Now let's go ahead and talk about relics, right? So relics first, I want to talk about which ones I think would be your best bet. We're going to talk about some 4-stars first and then go from there. So you have the 4-star Firesmith, which I think works well with Guinaifan because, again, she's a fire damage unit. Increases fire damage by 10% for the 2-piece, and increases the wearer's skill damage by 12% after unleashing an ultimate. Increases the wearer's fire damage by 12% for the next attack. So you go up to 22% on top of your DoT, on top of Fire Kiss. It's pretty pog. So the other 4-star you could go for, the old trustworthy Musketeer's Wild Wheat. Now, Musketeer's Wild Wheat 2-pieces attack increases by 12% on the 2-piece, and on the 4-piece the wearer's speed increases by 6% and basic attack damage increased by 10%. Now, granted, I would say if you're going to run a 4-piece, Firesmith over Musketeer, because Musketeer's second effect, while the speed is increased by 6%, basic attack damage isn't exactly what you're going for. You're trying to get that skill off to get Fire Kiss going, especially with 3 stacks. Now, you could run a 2-piece between the two, which is 10% fire damage plus the 12% attack. But I personally would probably pick the 4-piece of the Firesmith of Lava Forging, just because the fact that you're getting the extra damage from the skill, you're getting the extra damage from fire damage in general. So that's a plus. Now, what about your 2-piece? The only one that I could really say would be really, really good for any of these would be the Space Sealing Station, as you see right here. Now, Space Sealing Station, the 2-piece increases the wearer's attack by 12%. When the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, the wearer's attack increases by an extra 12%. Now, granted, you could pair this with the Musketeer Wild Wheat, and you would be able to get your speed up there pretty quickly. However, I still think that your best bet is running the 4-piece Firesmith. Excuse me, with the Space Sealing Station. Now, for what you're going to be looking for in regards to your Guinaifan. Now, you don't need to focus on crit rate or crit damage with Guinaifan, though it could help. But your main focuses should be your attack percentage, your EHR, which is your effect hit rate, your speed, and your break effect. Now, that would be what you want to focus on from number 1 to the last. So attack percentage, effect hit rate, speed, and then your break effect. Now, of course, if you're going to run something along the lines of Solitary Healing, you don't have to worry too much about your break effect, at least 20% wise. So that works out pretty good for you. But I think Guinaifan is pretty straightforward in regards to what you need to build with her. Guinaifan seems like she's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really stoked to actually try her out. Plus, she's a streamer, and a lot of her stuff kind of pertains to the fact that she is a streamer. So that's really cool. That's a plus on my book. So I can't wait to try out Guinaifan, and hopefully y'all can't wait either. And y'all, that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this build guide, and hopefully I helped you out in this, because sometimes build guides are very stressful. So anyways, y'all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to entertain you. We will be back again with another Honkai Star Rail video very soon. Again, love you all to death. As always, we'll see you soon. Take care and be safe.